Home Staging Association podcast with Paloma Harrington Griffin.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Home Staging Association podcast with yours truly, Paloma Harrington Griffin. Today's guest is an ASB accredited award-winning stager, but not only that, she holds a master's degree in architecture and master planning in urbanism. I am talking about Atelier ADA Anna Daccache. And you have to correct me later, Anna, because I always said Daccache, but I never asked you if that's how we pronounce it.
Daccache is perfect. That's how you pronounce it. Yes.
It's quite posh. I love it. So Anna has recently won the Home Staging Awards 2020 in not only one, but two categories: Best Transformation Vacant Property and Best Staging. So just to give everyone a little bit of context, the HSA recently held the Home Staging Forum, which was a great event, great success due to the level of content that we delivered and the innovative platform that we used to create a very interactive event. And during the forum, we had, of course, the Home Staging Awards. And it was the second edition of the Home Staging Awards, which is the only awards dedicated only to home staging professionals in the whole of the UK and Ireland. And we had 5 categories so far. So best transformation occupied property, best transformation vacant property, best holiday let project, best virtual staging project, and finally best staging project. And of these 5 categories that we had this year, Anna simply just won 2 of them, leaving no room for anyone else. Oh, Anna. So, Anna, I know that your company launched in 2014, and I want you to tell me more about that, but I'll just give a brief history behind it so people can know a little bit more about the company. So you launched it in 2014.
Well, to be honest with you, I launched Home Staging in 2014.
Yes.
I launched Atelier ADA in 2011, end of 2011, beginning of 2012.
Okay, yeah, because I remember you told me that you were kind of going through a rebranding and tweaking the offering, really, and that was 2014. But I thought, well, she was working with this before that, that's for sure. So yeah, 2011 then, doing design and architecture and all of that. And even in 2014, when you started with Home Staging, back then it was still new, wasn't it? There's hardly anyone doing home staging in the UK, I reckon. So no wonder why I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the business quickly expanded and everyone's starting to see the results of your work. So word of mouth, here and then, people starting to look for your home staging services, especially because, well, we all know that properties that are staged will sell faster and for more money. And when your clients starting to see that, they will just want you to do all of their projects. So luckily, you I think you were one of the pioneers, and you enjoyed being a part of one of the first stagers in the UK to benefit from offering that service. And I would say, and this is something that I know it's on your website, but I completely agree that every home that you guys, well, and you personally, obviously, stage, you treat it as a unique property. And I know how careful you are with selecting the pieces, selecting accessories, and you literally go one by one, making sure that everything makes sense, that everything looks nice, but also has that appeal for the potential buyer. So I think that's your difference. I know lots of staging companies and staging professions also see each property as an individual property, but I know how careful you are and how attentive you are with treating each and every one of them in a very unique way. And I think that's one of the keys for your success, but you'll tell me more about that later. Yes. Anna, your business has skyrocketed, and it seems like this is only the beginning. So yeah, it's so nice to have you here. I'm so excited that we can finally talk about it and share this with everyone, because we do have our own chats every now and then, but it's nice that now we can share this with everyone else. Welcome.
No, I'm equally excited, Paloma.
Great stuff. So I think, Anna, just to to get started with, why don't you share with us and the listeners, and this will also be available on YouTube, so our viewers, maybe you could share with us a little bit about your background, because even though we know that lots of people that work home staging have had a past life, everyone's done something before getting into home staging. I think your one is quite powerful and quite unique. So please do share.
Well, with pleasure. So it all started in a school of architecture. As you mentioned before, I studied architecture. Further to that, I did a master degree in architecture, but also another one in master planning and urbanism. So in total, I spent like 8 years in School of Architecture, which was fantastic. Because architecture is 6 years, master planning was 2 years. But what you get to learn and know is you have to take credits outside your own specialty. So for example, I took lots of cinema making credits, history and theory, aesthetic of cinema, etc., graphic design. And that builds your personality and builds your kind of creative mind that you have. Further to that, I started working in Paris in top architectural offices, because for me, it's like you have to work with the best, especially at the beginning of your career. You have to learn from the masters. I didn't care whether I would be paid or not. I signed internships for like 2 years, but as long as I was in a top place, I was working on the top project with the best people. And I think that wasn't a waste at all. It paid back later on, because as soon as I had my second master in urbanism, someone called me from London. It's like, interview, we see your curriculum, your work experience. And I was like, yeah, why not? Let's go to London. So I came here. I had one ticket, 2 weeks, no return, no exchange. And then I managed to have 5 interviews, 3 job offers. One of them was with Zaha Hadid. She's very famous, very well known in architecture, but I had another. I declined it, surprisingly.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And I decided to work for SOM, Skidmore, Owings and Merrill. And they are still in my heart, and they are still my friends. I think it was a founding moment of my career and my life. SOM is an American company, but it's one of the top design companies around the planet. So for example, one of the projects we worked on was Burj Khalifa in Dubai. That was designed in London in my office. I wasn't personally working on that project, but another team was doing that. But I worked on equally, important ones like Battersea Power Station, Elephant and Castle. We are talking about 2006. Yeah. The whole planet was designed in London, and there was a lot going on here as well. So I had, fantastic years. I worked also with New York office, Chicago office. We did super long hours. But then at some stage, at some moment, like after 5 years working in the corporate world, my entrepreneur part of me is like, Anna, like, it's time. It's time for you to have your own business. It's time for you to have your own clients. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad is one. He's still one. He started as an engineer, had his design office. He became a developer at the end. I saw him not just design, but also build, but also sell, the properties he was building. So I went through all the process, and somehow I wanted to, have my own clients. So I started Atelier ADA, and the reason it's Atelier, the reason I'm mentioning that is I thought a lot about this, and even lately I was thinking, should I rebrand? Should I become the luxury home stagers or something like that? But no. Atelier in French means a studio, but it's like the studio where you make things, where you craft things, and all the high-end brands like Chanel, like Dior, you have Atelier something. So I think my target client is kind of well-educated to grasp the meaning of that word, and just to tell them, look, I want to give you something special. That's why we are a studio. And studio, yes, ADA, Anna Daccache Architect.
Yeah, that's what I'm the ADA.
yes, it's me, it's my name, it's Anna Daccache, and then, architecture had to be there somewhere. Yeah, because I tell you what, even though I'm a home stager, And I'm now doing 90% of my work is home staging, 10% is maybe architecture. I never wanted to let go of architecture. So I only do one project a year, one big one for a client that I love, project that I can do from A to Z, rather than 100 planning applications. I dropped that because now I have a baby in my hand. I have home staging. That is so
now you can actually, you've come to a position where you can choose which projects you're going to take on, because you're so busy with staging. You don't want to just take any architecture project. You literally choose which one you're going to dedicate yourself to, and I think that's a fantastic position to be in. But Anna, so when you started the whole idea of Atelier ADA, that was mainly just, well, not just, but it was architecture focused.
Yes.
And then you decided to shift it to home staging. So home staging wasn't there from the beginning. What made you start thinking of, oh, actually, I'm going to do home staging? What was that turning point that you found out about stage and you thought that could actually be for me? I could actually do that, and then I want to do that, and I am doing it. What was the process? How did that happen?
Exactly, and that's a super interesting story. What I want to tell you, two things before I tell the story. Number one, staging, when I did the first project, was my Eureka moment, I think. And it has completely changed my career, my life as well, and for the best. Now, going back to the beginning, so I started doing architectural projects, residential projects, because I'm not going to do master planning. The mayor of London is not going to be my client. When I first started from my dining room table window, this is how Atelier ADA started. But then it grew. After a year, I moved into a shared office. After that, I needed my own office. Then the team, from 1 to 2 grew up to 4, etc. So that has happened. Now, I would finish an architectural project, and you have this, nice lady who would walk in, start making comments, sometimes criticizing, it's the interior designer my client hired. And that second stage was myself. I'm like, hold on, why is someone taking my baby? I can do interiors. It's very easy to do when you're an architect, and when your mom is an interior designer and you grew up between fabrics and materials and textures and color.
This comes naturally, right?
Exactly. So I started offering that service, and honestly, I enjoyed it. I even enjoyed it more than architecture, because it's like, in 3 to 6 months, you can do a whole 5-bedroom house. You see it, you feel it, you touch it. You don't have to go through painful planning process, lots of paperwork, lots of changes. I'm like, okay, fine, that's brilliant. And you know what? I'm a woman, I'm a mom as well. When you have a family, interior design is somehow more suitable for you. You don't have to be on site at 5 a.m. in the morning if there's a problem. Home staging, so I started doing that, and home staging came to me, Paloma. It has kind of chosen me. And I really, really believe that in life, when you are born to do something, as long as you are building the foundation, and, on the path to get there, because everything I've done was, kind of training me to get there, it will come to you. My first client, believe it or not, I had done 4 houses for this client. I met Charlotte in the Hampstead Women's Club, and she was sitting next to me in the first event I ever attended. It took, 1 or 2 years for me to start working for her, because obviously I didn't take out my business card and say, I'm here, for projects. No, not at all. People learned to know me. We became friends. She knew what I was doing. She knew about my own business. And then she came to me one day and said, you know what? I want you to do the interiors of my house. And then I refurbished that house. And then they bought a house that I did for them from A to Z. So to make a long story short, Steve came to me one day to my office and said to me, Anna, I want you to stage the first property you did for us. I'm like, okay, Steve, sure, certainly. He's like, I'm going to Japan. I leave it in your good hand. You're going to transform it, and then I'm going to sell it. I won't sell it the way it is, because I had tenants for 4 years, and it doesn't look as good as when you finished it. I'm like, okay, great. We shake hands. He's off to Japan. Went to my laptop, Googled home staging. That was...
okay, I'm going to do it, but now I need to find out how to do it.
Yes, that was 2014. Okay. And then, I got a few things, and then I'm like, yes, okay, fine. I get the concept, I get it. Let's go ahead and do it. I enjoyed doing that project, honestly. And just this morning, before this morning I was preparing a quotation for a project and I looked at my portfolio. I saw that. I'm like, I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
It's really still beautiful. It's really still a project I'm proud to have.
And it was the first one, so you always
It
look
was the
back
first
with
one.
a
Yes.
smile on your face, like, oh, this is how everything started.
Yes. And then it's like a snowball, because the estate agent who was selling this property saw how fast. It didn't last 12 weeks. We had an initial minimum 12 weeks period.
Mm-hmm.
The house got sold before
Oh,
for
that's
the highest asking price. So, we did discuss that and the price was realistic, but he asked the maximum within the bracket he could go for. So my client, Steve, was very, very happy. Yes. Even the client who bought the house called me at some stage and was interested in buying some of the pieces of furniture that were in the house. And that's great when you're starting.
Yes.
Because then it gives you a bit of cash flow to expand your stock and be able to
that's the
do more
dream.
than one.
That's the jackpot in home staging.
Exactly.
World, isn't it? When people buy our inventory, because that's kind of already paid for anyway. So when they buy it, you can just invest in buying more. It's a snowball, I just said. It never really stops, does it? Because then you get more money, then you buy more, and then you sell it, then you buy more again, and you keep on investing. But I think that's the key. And Anna, so you basically. So what services have you been offering within your company now?
Well, I never stopped to offer architecture, but to be honest with you, it's not our main business anymore. Mm-hmm. I think our main business now is home staging, number one, and all the services that come with home staging, because home staging is complex and home staging is big. I educated myself about home staging over the years. I discovered lots of things that I could do and offer. So this is the focus. We rebranded into Atelier ADA in home staging and lifestyle. Mm-hmm. This is the core of the business, but we're still doing interior design projects, few a year, and then at least one architecture project.
Mm-hmm. But mainly it's home staging. That's the one you've been selling the most, people are looking for the most when they approach you.
Yes. Well, when someone gives you a white check, why would you want to do otherwise? When I have a client who trusts me, who is like, do whatever you want, Anna, just make it look fabulous. Why would I go back to a place where, I have a client, it takes a year to do a project, I'm talking now about the most amazing interior design projects you can get, okay? But at some stage, some emotions will come in because it's their house they are going to live in. The personal taste of, I'm saying her, but her or his, and I've done beautiful projects for lots of male clients as well, and I love them. I love working, doing an interior design project for a man. So basically, at some stage, the fabric of the blind will change, or just the color of the wall will change. And the client was like, no, it's small, it's nothing, I'm not changing. It's like, no, Charlotte, you don't understand. I've based everything about that key element. If we're changing that base, we have to, follow up with all the rest. I won't let it happen. Mm-hmm. And then, it's a beautiful process, but it's a long process. It's a personal process with lots of emotions, lots of personal. Mm-hmm. While home staging is different. Home staging is about selling a property. Emotions are detached. It's about the results you're getting.
Exactly. And you have to deal with emotions as well within home staging whenever you're dealing with a homeowner directly, or doing an occupied. But it's a different angle. You do have to have a certain tone and a way of approaching people. As I remember, you probably will remember as well from the ASP course, they talk a lot about the whole communication skills and all that. We'll approach that in a second. But it's just different because it's you knowing how to communicate. You're pretty much guiding the client through the process, but you have the final word because we have the sale in mind. We have the best interest of the property and the client really in mind. Whereas if you're dealing with an interior design project, if they say, well, actually, I don't like this green wall anymore, I want it to be red. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can try to talk them out of it, but at the end of the day, it's their decision because it's a personal taste situation. And what can you do? So yeah, you're absolutely right. It can get quite exhausting after a while, but I think some people enjoy it. And as you said, once you find out that the one thing that you need to do, that you're you're here for and you're passionate about it, then great. And I bet that some people do love that and might even, I don't know, thrive with the color changing and the fabric changing and all of that. But for you, it wasn't really making your heart beat any faster. Whereas home staging was like, yes, home staging is the thing.
Yes, because I have a vision. As soon as I walk in a property, I can see the final result straight away, you know, and like you were talking about virtual staging, it's virtually staged in my head. And that's why I said architecture was key. Yes, because I developed the skill of seeing in 3D and projecting myself in a space. And that's why I don't want to compromise. Plus, I like the fast pace of home staging, and it's not everyone cup of tea. I like to be able to, you know, do a whole house, a 5-bedroom in 3 to 4 working days, you know, an apartment in 2 days. The adrenaline kicks in, and it's just excitement for me. I can see sometimes, you know, people from my team panicking. It's like, are you sure, Anna? You signed to that? We're finishing this in like less than a week. I'm like, yes, trust me, we can do it.
And I think that's the exciting thing about home staging is how quick everything is, how turnkey, and how you can actually see something as a completely blank canvas, or not so blank, sometimes a little bit cluttered, but say from very scratch till the very end of it, to the marketing, which is literally the final stage of the whole process. And you can see everything from beginning to end in a matter of days. And that is that's so exciting, because it's so dynamic and every time it's something different. And at the same time, it's also very creative. So it's, well, for me, it's a perfect combination. I reckon you would agree too.
Yes.
That's why you do it.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, Anna, you've been doing home staging specifically since 2014, so 6 years now. And you were just telling us about your first staging and how you hold that so dear to your heart, and you remember that, and how nice it was, and how happy you were with it. But I'm pretty sure that now, looking back at that project and maybe comparing it with the project that you did on the day that you won the awards, for example.
Yes.
You were staging a property right at the same day, weren't you? If you were to compare both projects, what would you say would be your key learnings from back in 2014 till now? Anything staging related, or dealing with the client, or even furniture, or anything that you think might be worth mentioning? Like, back then I didn't know this, or back then, actually now I would do X, Y, Z different. Any key learnings that you can think of?
Absolutely, lots of them. So the main, I think, key learning is the power of home staging. I didn't know that when I did my first project, because I didn't know how fast it will sell. I didn't know for how much it will sell. So then when I saw the result of that, I'm like, oh, something is going on here. And there's more to home staging than just design and just beauty created. There is a mathematical logic behind. There are figures, there are numbers, and that's something that I have to understand and I have to kind of master. And I couldn't just look at myself because, I had one project, other people had more. This is where a whole education journey had started. This is where I needed to find people like you, Paloma. I needed to find mentors. I needed to find, people who even has done it in the United States, because they are ahead of us. Estate agent who work in Canada, in Vancouver. I met that lady in Italy. No, it was in Mallorca, in a hotel. And then we ended up spending the whole weekend together talking about home staging. She was sending me figures and showing me, what is happening in that industry, and also telling me, look, I won't put one single property on the market unstaged. The exchange was fabulous. That gave me really the energy to go there and look for courses and look for people and start, learning the side of the business. So I would say I didn't sell the first project, but to win Hotham Hall, it took me between 2 to a month to convince the client and for him to sign the contract. And then the project is an award winning, and not just by, for nothing. I think there were layers of complexity. The property, even though it's a piece of jewelry, was run down. It has been let out for 20 odd years and not much has been done to it. It needed to be refreshed. At the same time, my client wanted to spend the least amount of money, and I totally understand that. So I'm like, okay, I have to focus on the important parts. We don't need to repaint because that's something they were doing over the years. But like, for example, we needed to treat the wooden flooring because it wasn't looking good. All these scratches won't sell the property properly. So what I first did was a scope of work. That's something you have to sell to the client. And I did that from a home staging perspective. And here I'm thinking of Sanjay, I'm thinking of you, I'm thinking of Verena. When I took my ASP course, we did touch base on that. Did I walk in as an architect? No, because if I did that, it would have been the wrong approach. I would have refurbished the whole place. That's not the point of staging. So I put on my staging hat. I remembered everything, I heard and I learned. And I'm like, okay, let's do that. Second, when that was done, I noticed that we had this double height space above the dining room table, and it needs a chandelier. It needs not any chandelier, like a wow effect chandelier. Project was going to be ultra modern because that's the spirit of the house, but it's set up in a historical building in London. So one, you have history, you have the city of London, and second, everything modern somehow, is a bit cold, at least my opinion and taste. I needed a crystal chandelier. The crystal chandelier came from Italy. And believe it or not, it arrived broken because they didn't package properly because I needed it for the next week because the client wanted everything straight away. But I managed to find someone in London to fix it. That's one of the good things of having an interior design studio on the side, because you have connections, people, you can sort out problems straight away. And I'm not going to let the chandelier to my client. He had to buy this. So like, okay, Mr. Client, now we need to do a bit of refurbishment.
It's so specific. You couldn't necessarily use it in another project. I mean, maybe there's a not chance that you would be able to, but the likelihood is,
Plus, Paloma, we had 4 meters space. So hanging that chandelier, all chandeliers come as 1.2 meter standard. We needed an extension. We needed to cover the extension financially because, look, I'm also a businesswoman. I'm not, and that's really important. I'm not just a designer. So for me, financially, it would only make sense if the client was going to buy the chandelier, So client was convinced. And then when I finished with that, it's like, okay, let's now push the staging, the furniture package, what he is going to rent weekly as a package, as a proper home staging, because that's very important. And when I won that battle, another one was really going to be, is like the window dressing. To me, this is very important. I see amazing home staging projects, amazing modern properties that have been newly built, beautiful staging, exquisite. But then there's something cold, for me, the walls are bare and it needs something. And to be honest with you, it doesn't have to be over the top. So we had curtains and blinds there, but some of them were really ripped off. You won't see it, it would be hidden, but you can't present the property like that. So part of it was to, let's skip that. I won't go into the detail, but we refreshed what was there. And then in one of the rooms, it was even brand new. We had to have new Roman blinds. So all that took me a month for him to sign. And once this was signed, I had 2 weeks to make it happen.
Ooh, no pressure.
Yes. After
was
lockdown.
he happy though?
Yes, in mid-August. So, not in the best of times when lots of people were working part-time. Pulling the resources was quite a challenge. But here you go, I've done it. And the project won an award. Well
done. It was all worth it, wasn't it? And he was happy and...
Yes, he was. I'm sure he was super happy. Only last week, he recommended me to all the estate agents who are involved on the project. And I haven't announced it to him yet, but today I will announce to him that the project has won the best of
Oh, you need to tell him. Yes,
Yes,
let
yes.
us know how it goes. Oh, he's gonna love it. That's great. No, that's like a cherry on top, isn't it? Just like amazing. And so yeah, Anna, you've been telling us about the whole everything you've learned and how you remembered a few tips and all the learning that you got from the courses. So sometimes people say, oh, she won an award, and okay, but nobody really knows all the work that's gone backstage to get to where you are right now. So you've been working very hard since before 2014. You've been investing in your education. You've been doing everything that you can to learn more and connect with people. You're always putting yourself out there, going to networking events, going to the Hampstead Women's Club and speaking to random ladies in Mallorca or whatever. You're always finding a way to put yourself out there and to get information and get new ideas and get more material, get everything to make you evolve as a professional, because that will reflect directly in your career, in your business, the projects that you take on. Absolutely. And it all makes a difference, but it's not overnight. So tell us, what have you been doing, apart from obviously what I've just told everyone, that you're always out there connecting and studying, but how has this process been for you? What have you been doing to get to where you are right now?
Yes, exactly. So I think another key moment was when the Homestaging Association started. I'm probably one of your first members. I remember at that time, I had a lady called Sarah who was dealing with my marketing. She was a marketing director of Atelier ADA, and she sent me this WhatsApp, Anna, guess what? There's Homestaging Association. I'm like, wow, finally, because I felt so lonely throughout the process. We can see the great projects, everything, but I really felt on my own. I didn't know, if I was doing what's right or wrong. Lots of questions in my mind. The desire to grow this was growing and growing with me every day. But I had no one to speak with. I had no one to share with. So I joined the association first, and I remember attending your first event. And since then, I've been attending all of them. And I can say there's not one single time when I didn't learn something, when I didn't meet someone, when the door to a course or, an educational subject will open. And you remember I reached out to you one day. It's like, I sent an email to your assistant, I need help with this and that. We had a coffee. I did I applied every single point, you spoke about. And I'm sure that also helped me win, because not just the project, but also like going to events such as the Developer Boardroom, meeting Aisha last year, who gave the awards out, and starting going to Propel. All this helped me as well build my tribe somehow. But then on one of the spring events, because you do the forum, you do something else. I met Verena, who is the vice president of the Europe Homestaging Association. And then I was like, wow, not just UK Homestaging Association, now we have Europe. And then I learned about the international. All this makes me proud and happy, because I do have support at the back. And let me tell you something. When I did that project in 2014, it was we were doing one project a year for 2 or 3 years, but big ones. Like, I did 5-bedroom house in Hampstead, high-end ones. So, after you do 3 of these in 3 years' time, your warehouse is full, because 5-bedroom house, meaning meaning a living room, a family TV room, and then how do you call them? The formal living rooms, a drawing room that sometimes need 2 sets. So I had, after 3 years of doing one project, I had the warehouse full. And this is the moment, where I wanted to grow the business and where I met you. But then how do you start doing smaller projects? How do you can ensure and make sure your stock, because somehow you own like a crew of airplanes, is constantly moving. And for that, I needed support, and I still need support. I needed education. I was able to go from 1 project a year to 5 a year, and we're talking high end. So every project I do is like the equivalent of 10 little ones. And then I succeeded since 2018, 2019 to do 1 project a month. So up to 12 projects a year.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing.
Exactly, that's what we've done last year, and also despite the lockdown, that's what we've done this year, 2020. And I'm hoping to get to 1 project a week. And for that, I'm going to do more. So I invested in the ASP course. I would like to do the luxury home staging course as well. I see myself as becoming a master of home staging, so why not? That's something I'm looking at.
Yes.
And these are the ASP accredited courses, but also I've done lots of little things on the side. Like, you know, there's a 20-something home stager who's kind of, you know, talking a lot about the subject. Few weeks ago, I'm like, why not? Let's sign up, because even a 20-something have something to teach me. There will be an angle she's talking about that maybe I haven't seen or done. So for me, education is really important.
And there's so many resources out there that I think nowadays you just won't learn if you don't want to, because there's so many people doing these things, and you can obviously look into the HSA. We're always up to something. We have our monthly webinars that are available for all members to watch or catch the recordings later on. We've got the accreditation program that's been launched.
Yes.
And obviously the ASP course is always brought to the UK via the HSA. But equally, there are all the events that the International Association is providing, the courses. So if anyone is interested in looking, they can just go to ihasp.com, so iahsp.com. And also there's Cindy Lynn. Cindy Lynn is amazing. Not sure if that's the one you might be referring to. She's 20-something. No, she's not 20-something. She was 20-something when she started. Oh, if she hears that, she's going to laugh so hard. No, I think she's nearly turning 40 now. And she's always banging on about, oh, no, I'm turning 40. So, but she's amazing. Her content is super modern and up to date. And she's always giving freebies. And just because they're for free doesn't mean that they don't have value. These ones that she offers, they have so much stuff in it. Staging studio as well. So at the end of the day, you only won't learn if you really don't want to. And I think it's up to us as professionals to go and find these opportunities. And as you said, when you started, you didn't really know what to do, or you didn't know what would be the next step to take your business to the next level, and to really tailor it for profit and for how you wanted to do it. You didn't want to do 10 little projects per month. You'd rather do one big high-end one that will give you just as much return as the little ones that will give you 10 times more headache. So I think when it comes to that point, that you need to understand where you're at and where you want to be, you need to find assistance, help to guide you through the process. And if people don't know where to go, they can just come to the HSA, and we'll obviously guide everyone through. And it doesn't necessarily mean they will tell you, oh, you need to join or you need to do the HSA stuff. We're very, we like to really evaluate each situation individually, because people have different needs, and there are so many things out there that we always try to guide people through and provide them with the information, the support that they need for that moment in time in their career. So yeah, and I know that you personally know that very well, because we've been catching up, and I have personally been involved somehow, and I feel very proud as well just to see you won the award. I was like, yes, because I know you're working so hard, and now, yes, I feel a little bit like one, not even a tenth, maybe even less than that, but just a little bit part of it, and it makes me very happy to know that I helped you somehow to get there. But it's all you, not taking the credit off you at all, because I know how hard you worked, how much you invested in education, how much time you've invested in networking, and you really put yourself out there. I know that you've been asking people to develop this boardroom group to vote for you. I know everything. And that's what it is. I would probably be too embarrassed to do that, because I'm a bit shy. And but you don't care. You go out there and you do it, and that's all you.
Well, you see what? I mean, when you heard Sanja talking, when you're part of the International Association and you listen to Jenny constantly, even to Barb Schwartz, I mean, one key message they tell you is believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence is everything, you know. If you believe in yourself, if you know that your projects are worth it, I won't ask if I didn't know that, you know, there was a solid foundation there.
Mm-hmm.
You should go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that brings me to my next question, which I kind of think I know the answer to. So what would be your advice for anyone starting in home staging?
Lay strong foundations.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always done that. You see, you know, back in Paris, do that. Take time, spend money, do it properly. Once the foundations are there, then the skyscraper is going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, on every floor you have columns, and on every floor you have beams as well. And you know what? Even today, I would say I'm at floor 10, which is awesome. But no, I want to become floor 100.
Wow,
and why not? One day,
sort of
yes,
height, aren't you?
exactly. But for that, Paloma, you know, there are steps. I will need to build something up, and I can't do it just on my own without, you know, doing more. And that's why I said to you, I want to do the luxury home staging course. After that, I want to, you know, become a master of what I'm doing. There's always something to learn, and every single person from the smallest to the top have something to teach you. My fitters sometimes teach me very interesting things. And amazing clients, Hotham Hall client did teach me something. He is a producer. And even though I created the video and I thought, oh, we have a fantastic video this time, it's the best, he's going to love it. No, he had feedback. You know, he's Anna, I watch all the American home staging programs on TV. You know, let's remove the focus on the accessories, on the details. We have to focus on the space. We have to focus on this, that. My music was somehow emotional, and he wanted something a little bit more neutral. So he went ahead and changed it, and I let him do it. Yeah, you learn from a top client. You learn from your fitter as well.
And I think that's one of the things that have contributed to your success, because I think most people would be in your position like, yeah, I'm good. I've got my company, I've won an award, and I'm doing X number of projects, which is exactly what I want to, and life is good. Yeah. But you want to keep on learning. You're always open to carry on evolving and learning and growing. And I think that's the key to get to higher heights, is to always be open for that, to always be looking for the opportunities and being open for the opportunities. Because sometimes if you're not open, they might be knocking on your door and you won't see it. So you're always paying attention to those things and always looking to improve. So you still want to study more and learn more and create more. And I think that's amazing. That's why you're going to carry on growing and being even more successful. That's fantastic. So, such a role model. Look at you.
Thank you, Paloma. My close family and friends told me when I won the awards, and both of them too at the same time, it's like, wow, you know, now, you know, everything is going to happen. I responded, and I'm saying that now it has started. For me, this is a responsibility. It's what I do about, you know, my win that will take me forward. The work has started now, and I need to take the business to a next level. I need to help the industry get to the next level. And this is where I'm going to focus all my energy on. And I will need a lot of support in doing that. And I know where to find it. I know where to find it.
You know exactly where to find, but anyone watching and listening as well, if they want to help out and join us in the quest of spreading the word of home staging and get our profession to the next level as well, come and join us. We can all help each other out, and we all benefit from it. So Anna, to start to wrap up, I would like to ask you, on the same note as the advice for whoever's starting out, would you have any what would be your top 3 home staging tips? Could it be anything?
Yes. Inside and out. Don't forget the garden. Don't forget the entrance. Don't forget how the property is perceived from outside. And especially, you know, the open outdoor space that you have. And it can be very simple because often we run out of budget. You know, we want the living room, the master bedroom. No, just sometimes a table and chairs and a nice, you know, lantern on top. An outdoor cushion would do the trick. You don't need to overdo it.
Mm-hmm.
And probably maybe a landscaper or a lick of paint would make that entrance look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one, inside out. Number two, window dressing. Don't neglect this. Don't leave your walls absolutely bare. And it can be done on a budget. I have done it before. Number three, always invest in some expensive. And by expensive, I don't mean necessarily the price. I need a designer piece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I would say, you know, this is by Alessi or this is Eichholz. How many pieces like this I will have even on a top high-end project? 5 or 4, you know, I don't need more. But
we're not talking 4-meter chandeliers all the time. It has to be
no.
no.
You know what? I've done that once. We won't do it all the time. You won't have that kind of space in every project. But I think in your warehouse, having as small as your warehouse is, having 4 or 5 pieces of accessory that would just create that wow effect, that would make that table stand out is really, really important. And mix it up. You can then mix it up with high street, affordable. It will look high end.
I love that, and I think that's really key as well, because sometimes you just think something expensive has to be expensive, but it has to look expensive, and you can find it with either suppliers or even in the most unusual places, in like street markets. Sometimes you find those cute little French street market sort of thing. You can always find a piece that looks very expensive, and when you combine that with other pieces, it makes all the difference. It makes the project look
true.
a higher notch than you normally do it. So yeah.
Young designers as well. Like I go to Clerkenwell Design Week, I go to Focus, I go to Decorex, lots of my colleague homestagers, and especially now after the awards, I've been receiving messages. It's like, where do you source? Where do you find? I'm like, I find everywhere. I'm constantly active.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I go to the Fiera in Milan, to the Salone del Mobile.
Yeah.
Equally, I go to Decorex, and then I go to Clerkenwell, and any little, even in Highgate where I live, you know, they do an art market once a year, a craft market, you know, I will find a vase or, you know, a different kind of straw to put on a sofa. I'm constantly shopping. I'm constantly looking for these key pieces.
That makes all the difference. And well, finally, Anna, if people want to find you and reach out to you and say congratulations or join your fan club, how can they find you?
Yes. Well, I'm everywhere. So they can, first thing I would say, have a look at my brand new website. We launched it a few weeks before the awards.
It looks great, by the way.
Thank you. A lot of work went into that, months. I have been behind every picture, every piece of every collection. And one thing I want to do, every image on this website is 100% by Atelier ADA.
Mm-hmm.
And by saying 100%, we would, you know, the curtain and blinds have been made by our studio. The accessories on the table have been supplied by us.
Literally everything.
Exactly. So I've selected the projects and the images where it's Atelier ADA, 100%. And I'm very proud of that.
How amazing. So your website, what's the address?
Yes, that's www.atelier, and that's the French word, ATELIER, Atelier ADA, one word, .co.uk.
Fantastic.
My Instagram is at atelier_interiors. Yes, atelier_ADA_interiors.
Yes.
And then I'm on Facebook as well, Atelier ADA Interiors. I'm on LinkedIn as Anna Daccache.
Fantastic. I hope everyone connects and that they can start following your beautiful, beautiful work. And do make sure to check the website, because I saw the other day and I was like, wait a second, this has changed. It wasn't like this. And it looks truly amazing. And also your Instagram, you've been adding so many of your new projects there, and the projects are literally magazine worthy. It's like you're you're following Elle Decor and not Anna Daccache. So it's absolutely amazing. So it's quite inspirational as well. So guys, please do make sure to follow. And Anna, thank you so much. It's been so lovely.
Thank you for
your time. To do this in person again when I have your trophy at hand and I can hand it out to you. And I hope we can have a socially distanced coffee, or I think a champagne this time. I think we need some bubbly.
Champagne, no.
Celebrate it.
I'm going to hug these awards, take a picture and post it online. Yes.
No, that will happen very soon. But anyone that wants to reach out to you, they know how to do it. And I will make sure to reach out to you very soon as well. But Anna, thank you so much. It was very informative, very inspirational. I hope everyone found the same too. And I hope to see you and everyone else very soon. Bye.
Bye, Paloma. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Home Staging Association podcast. Please visit our website for more content and information, www.homestaging.org.uk. See you next time.